Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a good evening to you, the good and the wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand and all's well in your world. Hello there. Bit more of a mellow intro jam today. That was, as soon as I woke up this morning, I was like, I want to do something chilled. I had no idea what, so I was like, right, I need to put the HX in, I need to get particle verb on the go, chorus on the go, delay on the go, and just see what happens. And that's what happened. And I think it was like 9 minutes or something. It was very long. So, I don't know. But it was very relaxing and I feel very calm because of it, which is very nice actually. So yeah, that was... I hope you enjoyed that. That just came out of nowhere today. As soon as I woke up, I was like, that's what I want to do. That's where I'm being led today. That's where the musical powers are leading me today, is to... relaxedness, if you will. Okay, so anyway, welcome to the Q&A Wednesday, everybody. Hello. So let's dive into question one, shall we? Okay, so question one today is: do you know what John Frusciante is doing during the shred guitar part of "Don't Forget Me" live at Reading Festival in 2007? Okay, and you give me a timestamp. What John's doing? I can't demonstrate at this point in time, sadly, but I have done a video on this in my John Frusciante series. It's like John's crazy shredding guitar playing, but what John's doing there, he's playing these notes in an A minor pentatonic scale. It's just pentatonics down here. So where are we? 17, 20, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this scale here, so on the 17th, 20, 17th and the 20 on the low E, 17th and the 19th on the A, 17th and 19th on the D, 17th, 19th on the G, 17th and 20th on the B, 17th and 20th on the high E. So this scale, that's what he's using to get this solo. But what he's doing is there's a lot of excess noise because he's strumming it. But what he's doing is going... kind of, it's a pattern not too dissimilar to that. I don't know if it's exactly that, but it sounds like it to me. It's kind of, it sounds really weird about the distortion and wah wah, but what he's doing is basically just like playing around with that minor pentatonic scale, and just it with the combination of the DS2 and the Ibanez wah and crazy kind of like, you know, strumming, because it sounds terrible without that, to be honest with you. The combination of that makes for like an immense noise, but he's kind of going... He's kind of playing the G, D, and A strings pattern. So he starts off on the G, say, on the 19th fret, and then he goes to the 17th fret in the G, and then he goes to the 19th fret on the D, and then the 17th fret D. Yeah. Kind of like that. Wait, one sec. Okay, so yeah, it is that. Starts off on the G string on the 19th fret, and then goes to the 17th fret G, and then goes to the 19th on the D, and then goes to the 17th fret on the D, and then he ends up on the 19th fret. I'm so terrible with numbers. When he gets to double digits, I'm lost. 19th fret on the A, and then he goes back down to the 17th fret on the D. So it's this pattern. Oh, actually, I think there's an extra note in there as well. Okay. It's just a lot of shredding. There's a lot of noise. It's not too dissimilar to that. I mean, I haven't analysed this in mass detail. I've literally just touched on it now. But I know what he's doing, kind of thing. But it is that kind of thing. It's just this A minor pentatonic box, if you will. So it is this kind of like... that kind of pattern. But when you speed it up super fast with, I say, DS2 wah wah, you know, you get this kind of crazy noise. So that's basically what he's doing. But I would advise to basically play around with this A minor pentatonic. Don't necessarily, I mean, it's cool to learn that, but it's nice. Don't Forget Me is one of those songs that lends itself so well to kind of just messing around in A minor, especially solo. You know, if you really lock into Flea and Chad on the guitar solo sections, you can come up with some amazingly awesome kind of parts just by using A minor pentatonic scale. It really is, you know. Because the chord progression is so lovely, it really works really well. But that's what John's doing. It's this, I'll say, it's that pattern between the 19th, 17th on the G, 19th, 17th on the D. Then you go up to your A string on the 19th, and then you go back down to your D string on the 17th and 19th. And it sounds to me like he changes it later on, where he scraps the A string. And he's doing all sorts, really. But it is between those three strings. It's between the G, D, and A strings. And you kind of go in G, D, A, D. G, D, A, D. And at that point, he seems to change this between G and D and alternate between the two. But it's just messy. He's just improvising. He's just in the moment of that, really. So I would advise always try and do that. I mean, it's cool to copy licks. It really is cool. But that's what he's doing. But try and incorporate that in a different kind of, different kind of place or a different kind of way. Maybe don't start with it like John does. Maybe kind of work into it. Maybe we start with a Big Ben. I don't know. But I really hope I answered that question. I just have brains. I mean, you've ruined it. You've ruined that one. So I don't know. People of the tube. I hope that answered that question. But it's this pattern, and John does that pattern a lot. It's always been a kind of a mainstay of John's kind of thing to just kind of go up and down the pentatonic. John isn't really kind of anything other than a pentatonic guitar player. He doesn't really stretch outside of the pentatonics. There are extra added notes that he uses, but most of the time John's guitar solos are major and minor pentatonics and the other three positions of the scales, with other bits here and there that just work. I don't know why they work, but they just do. John probably knows, but either way. But yeah, that's what he's doing. But I'd say when you combine that with the DS2 and the Ibanez wah, and you get that real kind of crazy white noise overtone, especially because you're strumming it as well and getting all the extraneous noise, because without it you get that, which sounds very messy. But the thing is, when you're manipulating the wah-wah pedal, it articulates it for you. So you can be quite devil may care with your right hand, really. There, you can really go for it, and you can get open strings because all the open noise adds to the white noise behind the actual note, but the wah pedal will pick out and articulate the notes, leaving the excess noise as well. So it's really, really cool. I don't know if I explained that well at all. I really hope I did explain that well, because I've got the horrible thing I didn't. But that's the pattern. It's a very kind of classic kind of rock pattern, but when you put it in that kind of context of John, it becomes something different. It becomes John Frusciante. It's really cool. So I hope I answered your question. I really have a horrible feeling that was rubbish. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to get a video done on this separately, just explaining kind of like, in maybe hopefully in better detail of why and how that works, because it more than anything, it is the wah pedal that articulates that shreddy thing that John does. That kind of crazy. That thing. It's the wah pedal more than anything that makes those things sound cleaner, because it's actually quite messy. When you don't hear it without distortion or anything, you can hear all the noise that's going on around it. But when you've got distortion and the wah on, that noise helps to make the sound bigger. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a video on this. I've already done a video on John's crazy wah technique. So if you check out my How to Play Like John Frusciante series, there is a lesson on there where I talk about John's wah techniques. I don't know if I covered this lick, but I definitely covered quite a few like it. And it's the same principle. It's the exact same principle John's doing there. It's just manipulation of wah, basically, more than anything, and distortion. And also having pedals in the right order to get that sound in the first place. So yeah, I really hope that's answered your question. I hope there's something in there you can kind of take away. If that's just kind of... I've never learnt that part, but I know what he's doing, if that makes any sense. That probably doesn't make any sense. But but no, I've never really kind of like. There are certain solos where "Don't Forget Me" is one of those songs where I've always wanted to kind of try and do my own solo over "Don't Forget Me" because it's such a gorgeous song. But I've always wanted to kind of like make my own up and not necessarily copy John. Although I'm trying to copy John. Weird paradox. That's the word. Is that the word? I don't know. Anyway, coincidence? I don't think so. Anyway, but yeah, so there we go. So I hope that's a question. I'm going to move on to question 2 now. Question 2. Okay, so question 2 is, in your opinion, has there been any real innovation on the electric guitar design and technology since the invention of the Strat in 1954? Has there been any innovation since the Strat? Yeah. I mean, there was innovation before the Stratocaster. I mean, there was the Telecaster, the Les Paul, you know, the Rickenbacker frying pan. You know, that's like the first ever electric guitar. You know, you had the Selmer McAfee guitars, the guitars Django Reinhardt were using. They were very kind of like amazing. But after the Stratocaster, I think that's maybe what you're asking. After the Strat, yes, there has been innovations, definitely. I would agree. There's been a lot of innovations, but you can't beat this. You know what I mean? You can't beat a Les Paul or an SG or a 335 or a Telecaster. These designs that were coined in the late, you know, in the early to late 50s, early 60s, are timeless. You know, how many guitars do we see that are Stratocaster shaped? How many guitars do we see that are Telecaster shaped? You know, Les Paul shaped. You know, I personally feel like, you know, the Gibson 335, the SG, the Telecaster, and the Stratocaster are kind of like all, not the be all and end all, but they really are kind of like the most iconic designs of a guitar that everyone has copied since it came out. You know, you think of PRS single cuts and, you know, and stuff like that, and then you think of like, you know, LTD single cut stuff like that, and you know, they've all got Stratocaster, Telecaster, Les Paul DNA. You know, and then you get hollow bodies, like certain frameless hollow bodies, kind of like, you know, you got the 335 DNA, and so it's there has been innovations in the guitar, definitely. You know, I mean, with you know, more, you know, different wiring, different pickups, the way, you know, stuff like the Fishman Fluence pickups, for instance, they're incredible. I would love to try that. I mean, that's a crazy innovation of, like, you know, having a pickup that looks normal, but it's active and you got to charge it, but it's not a pickup in the traditional sense of the word, but it does what it does. They're quite incredible, you know what I mean? And then you've also got stuff like Evertune bridges. That's a crazy invention. You know, Floyd Rose's, Kayla's. All these things appeared on guitars. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say there's been much innovation in guitar in shape, because these shapes are tried and tested and very, you know, these work. You know, to me, the Stratocaster is the most comfortable guitar in the world. You know what I mean? I was a Les Paul guy until I found, you know, started playing Strats properly, and then I just realised that, like, I just get on with this shape so much better. I don't know why I said better in that weird way. I'm not posh. Anyway, but there has been innovations on the guitar, but I wouldn't say necessarily it comes from different shapes. I mean, you look at Ibanez Strat copies, they're still Strat copies, they're just pointier, and the same thing with other guitars as well, and, like, you know, innovation on guitar definitely comes from, like, you know, different electronics and the way you can manipulate the guitar to behave. You know what I mean? Like, say, having, you know, even scalp fretboards, you know, all sorts of different things that have changed since the, you know, the design of these guitars in 54, you know, 52, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, there's been a lot of technological advances in the guitar, electrically and kind of aesthetically, but kind of more, you know, more kind of like technically, kind of, if you will. You know what I mean? There's a lot of calories going on there, but there's a lot kind of gone on with pickups, wiring, the way the guitars play, neck shapes, and all that kind of thing. If you think back to, like, 1954 with the first ever Stratocaster, and you took apart a modern Strat next to the 54, there would be a lot of similarities, but there would be quite a lot of differences as well. So there has been a lot of innovations, but I would say shape and look haven't been changed a great deal because, and again, there's such an iconic, ahead of their time, futuristic look. I mean, the Stratocasters, the Strat, the Tele, the Les Paul, I think their guitar designs, they don't grow old. And I don't necessarily think it's because they're comfy or they're iconic. I reckon it's just because they are ergonomically perfectly designed for the human to be playing. Especially, again, I'm a bit biased because I'm a Strat nut, but a Stratocaster I feel is like the perfect human shape to play as an instrument because you've got the belly cut, you've got the chamfer up here, you got the edges. There's no sharp edges on it. And it gives you access all the way down to the high fret. Nothing ever gets in the way. And they just work. So the Telecaster, the Les Paul and the Strat, the 335, even the Jaguar to an extent, they've all got this kind of, they've got a classic thing to them. And I feel guitar technology has advanced more in the tech spec side of it, not necessarily the way the guitar looks. Because, like I say, you look at like guitar companies like PRS, and they're just Les Pauls basically, or Stratocasters or SGs. You know what I mean? That's the shape, but they've advanced the guitar in different ways. Different headstock break angles, different pickups, different wiring, different ways of manipulating the guitar to work in a different way or a better way to the way it was designed. You know what I mean? Because as we all know, the Les Paul headstock design is a nightmare for headstock breaks. It's the weakest point of a Les Paul. There's so many Les Pauls that break at the headstock because the break angle on the neck is at such a kind of sharp, kind of cranked over angle that it makes this neck joint here around the nut really, really weak. So that's why Les Pauls always break there if they're kind of put on any strain. Whereas PRS changed the break angle of that to be less dramatic, and it works out better for tuning, stability, and all sorts of other stuff. Because Les Pauls, as much as they do stay in tune, they don't sometimes. You know what I mean? They're very, especially with G string on a Les Paul. G strings on Les Pauls are a nightmare. Every Les Paul I've ever played, the G string has always been the problem string for me. But I'm sure there's kind of like contradictions to that. I'm sure there's some Les Pauls out there that just don't go out of tune. My friend Nick's 52 Les Paul doesn't go out of tune. You know what I mean? You can throw that thing around all you want, it will not shift. It's really, really solid. But I still wouldn't be very comfortable, with I'd still be quite worried about the neck break angle because it is a bit of it's a break point. It's a break point. But like I say, I do believe there has been design, technology kind of advances, but design not really. I mean, how many guitars look like this? How many guitars out there look like a Stratocaster or a Les Paul or a 335 or an SG or a Telecaster? Even Matt Bellamy from Muse, who I think Matt Bellamy kind of took the guitar, along with certain people like Tom Morello and stuff like that, but Matt Bellamy more so, took the guitar in a totally different direction with Muse. Like the guitar kind of with built-in fuzz factories and built-in phasers and all sorts of other kind of chaos pads and all that kind of thing. Matt took the guitar to a kind of a crazy next kind of level. But if you look at his guitar, it's still technically a Telecaster. You know what I mean? It may look like a bit kind of like a melted Telecaster. It's it's been pulled this way and that way. But it's still got Tele DNA in it. The headstock, the Manson headstock, is still pretty much a Telecaster headstock. So, it's just made bigger to accommodate the electrics. But they are still DNA. There's a fly in here. The DNA of that guitar is still a Telecaster, and then certain guitars, I've seen him play Stratocasters, I think he's got a 65. I've seen him play a 64 or a 65 Strat. Whether it's his or not, I don't know, but I have seen him with a silver Stratocaster. He used to use a silver Fender Strat called an Aloha Strat. It was I think the body was aluminium, and it had a maple neck. And if you've ever seen the Muse Live in Paris Hullabaloo DVD. He uses it there for a sunburn and unintended, and it's just a gorgeous looking dial. It's totally silver with kind of engravings. It looks like an old resonator. It looks like a silver resonator. Anyway, enough on that. That's not relevant. Tangent. But yeah, guitar design, I don't feel has been innovated that much. I would say the electronic side and the technological side of a guitar has been developed a lot more. You know, much in the same way as kind of like, you know, amplifiers have been kind of like, you know, upgraded. You know what I mean? You know, with stuff like the Kemper and the Axe effects and, you know, all sorts of those kind of crazy things that are coming out now. You know, amp technology is really it's kind of like with guitars as well. Like the technological side is advancing, but I suppose the way that an amp looks now is kind of changing as well. But guitar, the design of it, you know, like I say, there's so many guitars look like this. There's so many guitars look like a Les Paul or a Telecaster or anything like that. And even if they're not, they still have that DNA in them. I say like Matt Bellamy's Mansons, they still have Telecaster DNA in them. Whether you can see it in the guitar, you know. So yeah, people of the tube. Let me put this question to you. In your opinion, people of the tube, have there been any real innovations in guitar design or technology since the Telecaster Strat and Les Paul? Has there been any kind of like, you know, any major change? Because I think there has been major change, but it's not, like I say, it's not in design. It's more in kind of like the technology side of like, you know, pickup technology, pot technology, switches, what you can do with the guitar, hardware improvements like tremolos and you know, locking nuts, you know, stuff like Evertunes, stuff like that. The Evertunes are crazy things. But yeah, so let me know, people of tube, let me know what you think on that one. Let us know in the comment section below. But I hope that's a question. I've proper rambled on about that, so I'm going to move on now. I could talk about it all day, but I won't. So I'm going to move on to question 3 now. So I hope it's a question. Question 3 today is, how many hours do you play each day, and do you ever take a few days off to not play? No, I always play guitar at least once a day, but it depends how I feel. I've never structured practice time, if you know what I mean. I've never gone down like that Steve Vai route of kind of like saying, right, I'm going to do half an hour on theory, half an hour on technique, half an hour on this, half an hour on that. I've never done that. It doesn't work for me. I just like to play the guitar. I just play when I feel like I want to play. Some days I'll just pick up the guitar for 5 minutes and that'll be it. Some days I'll pick up the guitar and play all day. Some days I'll pick up and I'll play for a few hours and that'll be that. You know what I mean? It depends on how I feel. I never structure it. I never sit down to kind of like, you know, in kind of like, you know, the practice kind of thing. I never sit down to kind of like go, right, now I'm going to practice. You know, I just sit down and I play. And if I come across something I want to get better on, I'll just go, oh, I'm going to work on that for a bit. But I never force myself into kind of like a routine, because I'm not very good with that when it comes to guitar, because it kind of kills it for me. I have tried to do the kind of a routine thing of kind of go with a metronome or something like that, but it doesn't work for me. I would much rather just kind of like, if I want to play, go and play. If I don't want to play, I don't feel the need like I have to. You know what I mean? It's like, the guitar's not going anywhere, you know what I mean? I always play. I've played every day, apart from a few, like, I think the longest time I went without playing a guitar was when I went on holiday to France for like, I think it was like a week I went on holiday to France with, and I couldn't take a guitar because obviously I was flying, so I couldn't take a guitar with me, and it was like, when I came back to the guitar after that holiday, it felt like refreshed, and that's the thing. It's like, if the guitar is getting a bit stale for you, taking a week away from it or a few days away from it is not a bad thing. People are like, oh well, no, oh, what happens if like I pick, you know, if I go away from the guitar and then I pick it up and I can't play? That won't happen. That Paul Gilbert spoke about this, and he said like something along the lines of like, you know, if you go away from a guitar for like a week or so, if a guitar's kind of burning you out a bit, you know, go away from guitar for a week and then come back to it, and you know, it'll feel a lot fresher, and you know, and clear. Yeah, your brain will be clearer. It won't be so muddled because your brain's had time to process whatever you've been trying to do with it. So taking the time away from it is not a bad thing. I've never felt the want or need to take time away from it. I wanted to take guitar with me to France, but again, like I say, you know, it's hard to do that on a plane. Even back then, that was when was that? 2006, something like that. You know, even back then, it wasn't the easiest thing to get a guitar on a plane without putting it in the hold. And I don't like the idea of putting a guitar in the hold in just a standard flight case. You know what I mean? If it's kind of a made to kind of like measure flight case, I can totally get it. But I didn't have one of them. But so I didn't like the idea, so I just went without a guitar. But when I came back to the guitar, I did feel a lot more refreshed, if you will, with the guitar. And it felt like I was kind of like rediscovering it. It was a really nice feeling. It was a really nice feeling. So if you do want to take time away from guitar, just do it. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing. It might be a bad thing if you're taking kind of like months away from the guitar, because then your technique will go, because the guitar is a perishable skill. If you don't play, your ability will start to decrease. You know, you need to play to keep your hands and your brain and you know everything you are in with the guitar. If you don't play, that will deteriorate. So you've got to play. But for me, I don't time anything. I just play. I just like to just sit there. I mean, even if I don't play the guitar, I like to have one near me. I actually do find myself some days just staring at the guitar, not playing it. I just like looking at them. You know, I just love the guitar. I love the guitar. I don't like going anywhere without it. If I go anywhere without a guitar, it's like I'm missing something. There's always like this. If I could carry a guitar everywhere I went, I would. Everywhere I went, I would. But sadly, certain situations dictate you can't carry a guitar everywhere. But I do feel a bit lost without it. You know what I mean? I just like having it. It's like my comfort blanket. You know, the guitar is my comfort blanket. Without it, I don't feel right. It's the only thing that's ever come along that's really balanced me out, the guitar, and playing it and making music. So when I don't have it, I feel more on edge than when I do have it. Because if things start to go a bit south in my brain, I know I can play my guitar and I'll be okay. Whereas without my guitar, I'm kind of left to my own devices in my head, and that's never a good thing. So yeah. So I don't structure practice regime. I don't have a practice regime. I don't have like I'm going to go and play guitar for an hour and hours like that. I play when I want to play, and if I don't want to play, I won't play, because I don't like the idea of forcing that on me. But there will be times like for instance yesterday I watched Phil X doing a guitar clinic at Guitar recently. On YouTube. I was watching him doing this guitar clinic, and I was just like, you know, Phil X was one of those guitarists that really inspired me to want to kind of like, you know, do YouTube for one. He was kind of like a guitarist, and go, right, I want to do that. And he's one of those guitarists that he's so infectious when he plays. Like, you want to pick your guitar up immediately after watching him. It's the same way as, you know, John Frusciante or Jimi Hendrix or Rory Gallagher does to me. As soon as I see them or hear them play, I want to pick up my guitar. So, but I don't force it. I don't like the idea of forcing myself to play. If I don't feel like I need to play, I won't play, so to say. But I will always, at one point in the day, pick up the guitar. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, I will pick up the guitar and come up, strum it, or just noodle. You know, just do anything. Sometimes I'm not after trying to write a song or trying to improve on something that I've learned or whatever. Some days I'll just pick up guitar and I'll just play one song. And then I'll, you know, that some days can be enough. Then some days it's not, and I want to play more. For instance, I love playing along to the Red Hot Chili Peppers Live in Hyde Park CD, and I pretty much know every song on that album. So what I do is I just put it on my CD player, come into this room, shut the door like I have done for 17 years, shut the door, press play, and just play through the whole album front to back. And, you know, there's nothing more I love than doing that. And the same thing with Stadium Arcadium, same thing with some Jimi Hendrix albums, same thing with some Pearl Jam albums. Pearl Jam 10, I know the entire album, so I'll just play it straight through if I need to. You know, some free songs, you know, Oasis songs. I'll come in here sometimes and just play through a load of Oasis songs, or Green Day, or Offspring. You know, some days I'm just like, you know, I just want to play some Green Day and just like bash some power chords. I don't want to have to think about guitar solos or anything like that. I just want to play power chords and just be big and distorted and obnoxious. You know, and sometimes I'll want to play more technical stuff like like some Andy Timmons stuff maybe, or whatever. You know, I don't know. It's about as technical as it gets for me. I don't play Yngwie Malmsteen stuff anymore. I did used to though. I used to play Metallica a lot as well, but I don't play Metallica a lot anymore. I will play every now and again. I'll play like, you know, something like Master of Puppets or For Whom the Bell Tolls or Wherever I May Roam or something like that. But I don't really play Metallica or heavy style anymore. You know, so, you know, or come in here and play Rory Gallagher. You know, I've got some live albums of Rory which I know front to back as well, and I'll just stick them on and play through. So, and that to me is my practice, if you know what I mean, because you're technically playing with people, and I like that more. And I don't really like just, if I'm playing guitar, I don't as much as I kind of like just maybe sitting there and going, you know, noodling around like that. I like to be a bit more musical with it, and I like to do backing tracks more. I'd much rather go in either here, turn on an amp and get a loop going, or a backing track on YouTube or whatever, and then play along with that, than kind of just noodle on my own. Because I like more melodic stuff. I like to be a bit more melodic with things, if that makes any sense. Anyway, but yeah, I do play every day. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. It varies on how I feel more than anything. I just go by total how I feel. But yeah, but I don't really ever. I've never felt the need to have days off from the guitar, and I think that's more to do with the fact of, like I said, I just play whenever I feel like I want to play. It's not a case of like, you know, I'm not forcing myself into, I've got to play now. You know, I've got to play. It's like, if I don't want to, I won't. You know, and I think through that attitude, it's kind of made me kind of like, you know, pick up a guitar more of it naturally, if that makes any sense. Kind of like, you know, I'm not forcing myself to go and pick it up and play it. I just pick it up and play it when I want to play it. You know, and there are sometimes where I'll play it for 5 minutes and then I'll just sit with it like it is now, or like this. You know, because I like just sitting with a guitar. Again, like I say, if I don't have it, I feel a bit weird, actually. I don't really like not having a guitar. I don't really know what to do with myself. And it feels weird without a guitar. And I just like to just sit with the guitar. I just like to feel the guitar, you know, nearby, if that makes any sense, or like with me. It makes me happy. You know, it's a very calming thing for me, especially this one here. Very, very calming thing for me. So I hope that's your question. Yeah, I think I've waffled on about enough. I'm going to move on now to question 4, but I hope that's actually a question. Okay, so question 4 today, Ray, question 4 is, who is Jo? Jo? She's my imaginary friend. No, I'm joking. Or am I? Anyway, moving on. Jo. Jo is my partner. We've been together for 10 years in September, and she's my long-suffering partner. She's convinced she's second to the guitars. She's not. It's a different kind of love. But yeah, Jo's my partner. We've been together nearly 10 years. We've been together 10 years in September, and every now and again, if we go out, we enjoy going for road trips to kind of like, you know, buy new gear or whatnot. So that's why she appears normally on the road trip videos. But you also asked, could we interview Jo? I don't think she would like that. I've been trying for ages to try and get her to play guitar on this channel, just like, you know, to get her to strum some chords. She won't even do that. So it's a nightmare. But maybe one day I'll convince her enough we can actually get her on camera playing, because she can sing really well. Jo's a great singer. So maybe one day might get her to actually... Oh, saying that, she did play guitar when Henry, the guitar hero, came to play here, and we did Oasis. Jo played 12-string acoustic in that video, and you have seen her about in certain, you know, bits and pieces here. But maybe one day we'll get to play guitar on her own, and hopefully we'll get her to sing. Fingers crossed. But that's who Jo is, everybody. And that's my E minor for Jo. Well, E minor 7. Let's do an E minor. Melancholy chord. Anyway, so yeah, that's who Jo is, everybody. Oh, well, the person who asked. Or anybody who doesn't know who Jo is, who just keeps appearing in videos. But yeah, she does live with me as well, so... But she's always around. She's probably behind the door, listening in on me right now, making sure I don't say anything wrong. That fly is driving me balmy. having a mini heat wave in the UK, and it's made all the big blue bottle flies come out to play. Like, hello, I'm gonna get in your hair and just do horrible things. Okay, anyway. So I hope I answered the question. Like I say, moving on to question 5 now. Question 5 is, if you enjoyed playing a guitar, even though you don't like the specs of it, would you consider buying it? Interesting question, I've got to say. So if you're playing a guitar in a guitar shop and it's not something you would normally go for and you don't really like the specs for it, but you're getting on really well with the guitar and it's really connecting with you and really speaking to you, would you consider buying it? Yes. I had that with a BC Rich Mockingbird in Old Hat. There was a trans red BC Rich Mockingbird in Old Hat guitars. Floyd Rose, 2 humbuckers, maddest shape ever. Well, not ever, but definitely one of the maddest shapes ever for a guitar. Absolutely bizarre thing the Mockingbird is, but I love it. And I had a really, 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 really deep connection with that guitar, where I loved that guitar. I really wanted that guitar. And I would have bought it if I could have afforded it, but I couldn't afford it. It was like something like 450 quid, and I still don't have that kind of money I can spend on a guitar. So yes, I would definitely consider buying it because it all comes down to, it doesn't matter what, to me, if the guitar speaks to you, then you'll get something out of it. But the guitar has to speak to you in the first place, if that makes any sense. If a guitar's not talking to you or connecting with you, then it doesn't matter what it is. But if the guitar really connects with you and you're having a great time with the guitar and you're just loving it, then yeah, I would definitely consider buying it if you can afford it, obviously. But yeah, I've had that experience with quite a few guitars. Like I say, the BC Rich Mockingbird. I demoed a while back. I don't know. I remember how long ago it was now. Sorry, everyone. I got really itchy ear. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago now. I demoed a Ibanez Gem Junior, which is kind of like the cheaper Ibanez Gem. That guitar was awesome. Do I like the specs on it? Not in the slightest. I hate the monkey grip. I would have never gone for the humbucker, single coil humbucker configuration. It had a really kind of fast, shreddy neck. I had a Floyd Rose. It's not a guitar I'd have ever gone for, but did I want it? Yeah. It was awesome. That guitar was awesome, and I loved it to bits. I only had it for like 3 days, but as soon as because it came in for a restring and a setup. A guy gave me it to a restring and setup, and once I got it restrung and set up, I was like, this guitar is actually amazing. I loved the way it sounded. I loved the way it felt. I loved the way it played. It really connected with me. But it would be never, if I walked into a guitar shop, it would never be a guitar I would go for. It would be now, but if I had never had that experience with a Gem Junior, I would have never have gone and picked one up, and that would have been my loss. So the thing is about guitars is you just want to try everything, just play everything, because you never know where you might find your guitar. You know what I mean? It's really weird. But the Gem Junior was amazing. The BC Rich Mockingbird was amazing. Both guitars I would have loved to have owned. I did have an Ibanez and I sold it because I'm an idiot. And I loved that Ibanez. It was such a Geo, but it was a gorgeous guitar and it was amazing. I loved it. And I don't know why I sold it. It was one of those things of like, you didn't need to sell it. Why did you sell it? Stupidity moment. Because I wish I still had it. But yeah, there's been quite a few. I'm trying to think if there's any others. Oh, there was a Guild in Old Hat. There was this little, I think it was like late 50s or early 60s, I forget. But there was this tiny little Guild. It was like a Les Paul, but the neck was a 3/4 neck. I forget the model of it, but it was a Guild, and it was a single P90 in the neck position. And that guitar, again, something I would never look at twice, really, unless I just kind of came up. I demoed it actually. I think I demoed it. I don't remember, but that guitar was amazing as well. And there was also a Gibson ES something. I don't remember what the model was. I get confused with Gibsons, but it was just a big kind of 335 guitar, but it only had one P90, and the P90 was in the middle. So you had this kind of trapeze tailpiece, bridge, one P90, and then it was a neck on like a 335 body. And that guitar was amazing. That guitar was amazing. There was also a Gibson 3 something. It had this kind of weird PRS-y headstock. It was black. And it was probably one of the most versatile guitars I've ever played. It had coil taps that when you coil tap these humbuckers, it sounded like a Stratocaster. It wasn't one of those things of like, it sounds kind of like a Strat. It sounded like a Strat. And when you clicked it back into full humbucker, it sounded like a Les Paul. I was like, this guitar is stunning. It was way out of my price range. It was in the thousands. Because it was like from, I think it was from the 80s, or was it from the 70s? But it was black, and there is a video of me demoing that guitar. But it was amazing as well. And these are guitars I wouldn't go for, because I don't really like hollow bodies. I don't like shred guitars, but the ones I've mentioned, they're the guitars that made me go, I love this. I don't like the specs, but I love this guitar. And yeah, I would have it. You know what I mean? If I played that in a shop and I could afford it, I'm buying this. This is awesome. So yeah, definitely. If a guitar speaks to you on that higher level, even though you don't like the specs, you know, I would go for it myself personally. But it's got to speak with you. It's got to connect with you. If it doesn't connect with you, forget it. It won't be for you. Don't do it. Okay, so yeah, I hope that answered that bit of a question. Okay, so the other part of the question, and I've been asked, I've got to put this to all of you people of the tube as well. So question 5, part B, is for all of us, not just me, for all of us. Is which guitar feels like home to you? So, people of the tube, what is your favourite guitar? What is the guitar that you feel most at home on? And if your house was on fire and you could rescue one guitar, what would it be? You actually put in an email, but like, you know what mine would be. Indeedy, this is my best mate. This is my best mate here. I don't play it as much as I used to, but it will be forever my number one. This guitar. This will be forever my number one guitar, and I still do play it a lot, and I love it as much as I ever have. I will never not love this guitar. There is just no way I can't. I every time I pick this guitar up, it's like putting on a comfy pair of trousers or whatever you want to call it. It really is one of those guitars that when you pick it up, it just feels like home. Because I've spent so many hours on this, and if I didn't develop that weird fear of I'm terrified of getting it stolen, I'd be gigging this every gig. But I'm terrified of it getting stolen. And some of the stories you've heard, I've heard and we've heard, I'm sure, of like, you know, people taking their guitars to gig and they just some chancer just takes, you know, just bogs off with it. That would destroy me. If this guitar ever got stolen, it would literally destroy me. The other day at Malcolm's, I was talking and I said I've got like 4 guitars. Out of all my guitars, I have like 4 guitars which are like really near and dear to me. And this is my number one. The 62 is my other. The first ever Oswald Strat, which is over there, that's my other guitar. And the 4th one was which one was it? I forget now. That's good, isn't it? You forget. I'm going through my guitars mentally. I've lost my brain. Yeah, 4 guitars I've got. My white Strat 62, my first ever Oswald, which I am just deeply in love with, much as I am this in the 62. And the other one would be my Jaguar here, because I really connect with that guitar. The Jaguar, the white Squire Jaguar, it's on the wall there, is really, really high up. Those are like, you know, if I had to sell all my other guitars and keep 4, those would be the 4 I'd keep. You know what I mean? They would be the only ones I'd have. So, people of the tube, what guitar do you own? What is it? Let us know in the comment section below. Which guitar is it you own that is home for you, that you love? And also, actually, I'm going to put the first part of question 5 to you as well. If you enjoyed playing a guitar, say you're playing a guitar in a guitar shop, it's not the spec you like, would you consider buying it? Let me know in the comment section below. Well, let us know in the comment section below. So, yeah, and also which guitar feels at home to you? Which guitar feels the most comfortable? And, you know, that's my guitar, you know what I mean? Because this is my guitar, if that makes any sense. You know, this is my best mate. It really is, and I love it. I absolutely love this guitar. So, yeah, let us know, people of the tube, in the comment section below, which one you know, which one's yours, and if you're buying, you know, if you went to a guitar shop and you were playing a guitar that wasn't to your spec or something you would normally pick up, would you be consider buying it? I would an instant. If a guitar speaks to you on that level, it's too good of an opportunity to pass up, if you know what I mean. Obviously, if you can afford the guitar, you know, there's no point going out and, like, you know, with a budget of 200 quid and picking up a 1959 original Gibson Les Paul and going, this connects with me, I have to buy it, because, you know, you'd have to, like, mortgage your family and your house and everything. I think literally you'd have to, like, sell everything. You'd have a 59 Les Paul, but you'd be on the streets. So, because they are ridiculous money. Crazy money. Anyway, but yeah, people for tube, let us know in the comment section below. So, moving on to final question there already. Question 6. Okay, so question 6 is it okay to use alternate tunings on my Vintage V100? Yes! Yes, I would highly recommend it, to be honest with you. Alternate tunings are a must play around with for any guitarist. Try different tunings as much as you can, because alternate tunings reinvent the guitar for you. They really do. Stuff like open C, open D, dadgad, open G, open A, open D minor. You know, all these tunings are amazing. You know, drop D is amazing. You know, down tuning your guitar down a whole step so it's like D standard or C standard. They reinvent the guitar. They give the guitar a different voice. It's amazing. And, funnily enough, certain guitars like different tunings more than others. I've got a black Squire Strat. It's made in Korea. That guitar sounds really crap, lack of a better word, in standard tuning. In standard tuning, it doesn't sound that good. It's okay. It's okay. But when you put that guitar in D standard, so a whole tone down, that guitar just comes alive. It just sings. It just comes alive. It's amazing. So yeah, you can easily, and also because it's a Les Paul, the V100's Les Paul shape, you can alternate tune that thing to the, you know, till the cows come home. It's very easy to change the tuning on that thing. And you said you just play it at home. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I used to my V100. I used to put that in all sorts of weird tunings, and yeah, it never went. You know, there's never any problems with it. So yeah, easily you can do different tunings, and different tunings, like I say, is just a must for any guitarist. They're so much fun. Alternate tunings are so much fun. I can't recommend it enough. I really can't. Okay, so that was a quick answer. Quick answer. Okay, weird. Feels strange when I quick answer. Okay, so yeah, so I hope I answered your questions okay today, everybody. I hope it's been informative. I hope there's been something in there you can kind of take away. I've got a horrible feeling question 1 was an absolute washout and it was a terrible answer. But hopefully, you know, it gets you off on the right foot, so to say. And I'll have to do a video like elaborating on this thing I'll talk about in that in question 1. But yeah, so I hope it's answered your questions. Like I say, if you want to submit a question for Q&A Wednesday, go to the description box below, follow the link to my website. On the website, there is a forum section. On the forum section, if you register, you can then post a question on the Ask Dave bit. So it's fairly straightforward. And then there's obviously other bits on that forum as well. And I get on there when I can and answer people's questions the best I can. But the Q&A questions, obviously, I answer solely for this. But yeah, if you want to ask a question for Q&A, please go onto the website. If not, if you don't want to do that, there's an email link in the description box as well for submitting questions as well. So if you don't want to go there and register, then follow the email link and submit your emails to the email address in the description box below. I can't talk. So either way, really, I'll get your questions. I'll get around to it. I've started to do free from my email and free from a website. You know, so the first 3 today were from my email, and the other 3, 4, 5, and 6 were from my website forum. So I've started to kind of alternate between the two. So I get basically, you know, so people who are still sending emails don't get alienated. I don't like the idea of that. So I don't like the idea of alienating people, should I say? Okay, so. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening, and I will see you again on Friday for an Orange amp demo. I'm looking forward to demoing this. It's the Orange Crush. We're going to go into depth on that beast. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. It's been sat down. I've been playing for it every now and again. I'm like, can't wait to demo this thing with different guitars. It's going to be awesome. So yes. yeah, have a great day, everybody. Goodbye now. Thank you for watching. Hi.